लाइव थम्स अप कर देना मुझे. So, very good afternoon to you all. Welcome to Job Grade IS, and this is session 15 of Mains Enrichment Program of Modern Indian History. Yesterday only we discussed one question regarding to the revolt of 1857. The today's question is very simple, but it has its own deeper insights. Its own deeper insights. You need to deal such questions very with a great care. Now, what is important, right? Ki whenever you are writing an answer, whenever, mark my word, you are writing an answer and you are constantly running against time. So always prepare in such a manner that your answer must be supported by one of the best examples that are available, not the famous examples, the best examples. Let us suppose you're discussing about the present question, the question for the day, the Battle of Panipat. What can be the best examples of Panipat? Why Panipat was chosen as a venue for the three major battles? Why Panipat? Right? So you need to link up some aspects of geography as well, right? You need to connect with some aspects of geography. As I told you in my earlier sessions also, without linking the topics, without interlinking, you cannot assume better marks in the civil services mains examination, right? So today's question is like that. It has a blend of history and geography. So the question for the day is, the third battle of Panipat was fought in 1761. Why were so many empire shaking battles fought at Panipat? So this question is designed very beautifully. Empire shaking battles. So they are giving the information in advance that battle of Panipat, always, be it first battle of Panipat, second battle of Panipat, or third battle of Panipat, all these battles shaken the empire. Shaken the empire. Clear? So how will you connect yourself? What will you write in introduction? The question, Ajit Kumar, hello. The question is starting from this point, third battle of Panipat. Third battle of Panipat. So whenever you discuss about this third battle of Panipat, what you need to think? What was third battle of Panipat about? First of all, it was one of the the largest military debacles of the modern Indian history, or you can say the early modern Indian history, right? So third battle of Panipat was fought on 14th of January 1761. On one side you had the Marathas, and on the another side you had Abdali Ahmad. You had Ahmad Shah Abdali, right? And Ahmad Shah Abdali won in this battle. He won in this battle. He was the winner of this battle. There were many reasons. Many reasons. Even Abdali wrote a letter to Peshwa that I had no option to fight. I respect the bravery of your Maratha soldiers. They were sick, they were hungry, and the main reason was the reason behind the defeat of these Maratha forces. They were large in numbers, but they were not acclimatized. It look at the date, 14th of January 1761, and you are in Panipat. You are in Panipat. So the location of Panipat is in Haryana. What is the location of Panipat? Panipat is in Haryana. Haryana. So the region of Haryana, the reason of Haryana not legible. Okay, I'll make it bigger. Third Battle of Panipat. One side, Panipat is in Haryana. One side you had the Marathas. Another side you had Afghans. Obviously, Afghans were led by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Right? So they were the clear winners of this battle. They were the clear winners. Why? As I told you earlier, because the third battle of Panipat, you see the location of Panipat, it is in Haryana, and Marathas came from Pune. So the region of Pune and Raigad is not colder, not as cold as Haryana in the winters, right? So the forces of Marathas were not acclimatized, and they consumed all their ration, which was provided by Maharaja Surajmal of Bharatpur. So they became very sick, their horses became weak, and in hassle, they attacked on the Afghan forces. So Afghans had no option. Abdali had no option but to fight. Even he wrote his letter to Peshwa, Balaji Vishwanath. He quoted that I had no option to fight. Sadashiv Rao was a brave commander, but in hurry he attacked, and I had to reply him. I had to repulse the attack. And this is the single battle, only battle of the modern Indian history, which was fought in a broad sunlight, and within 6 to 7 hours, both sides combinedly losses 1,25,000 men. Both sides suffer heavy losses. Even Abdali suffered heavy losses. But what it did, it hurt the Marathas' ambitions. Marathas wanted to rule. They wanted to, realize the dream of Peshwa Bajirao first. Who was the greatest Maratha commander? Who was the greatest Maratha general? Who captured Delhi in 1740? And his successors, Sadashiv Rao, Vishwas Rao, and Balaji Vishwanath, wanted to realize his dream. The Maratha Empire will rule from Attak to Cuttack. From Attak to Cuttack. So Cuttack is in Odisha and Attak is in the Pakistan. So Marathas were trying to expand their territories in the northern direction. On the other hand, in northern direction, they were touching the borders of Afghanistan, and Abdali, it was not acceptable to Ahmad Shah Abdali, because northern India was working as a power vacuum because Mughal successors were very weak. And it was very easy for Abdali to invade in India from the route of Lahore and Punjab and plunder Delhi. So that was the bone of contention between Marathas and Abdali. And at the end of the day, Marathas lost the battle. And what it impacted? What was its impact? It created a power vacuum in the entire India. It created a power vacuum because Marathas were the largest power of this country before the third battle of Panipat. Now, Marathas suffered heavy losses. Sadashiv Rao and Vishwas Rao killed in action. Marathas lost their great commanders. Now there is a power vacuum in the entire country because Marathas could not expand their kingdom towards the attack. And now they were busy for the consolidation. Next 10 years of Marathas became very, very problematic. Now they became the strongest power uh, for 10 more years in this country, but problems were there. Internal conflicts, war of successions, and that gave rise to a new power, the British East India Company. The British East India Company. So, third battle of Panipat, what it did, it created a power vacuum in India that gave rise to the invading East India Company. Invading East India Company. So that must be clear to you. So you need to, while giving the introduction of this topic of this answer, what you need to write? You need to write about third battle, third battle of Panipat, of Panipat. Right? You need to give the idea about third battle of Panipat, and what you need to do? You need to mention about the power vacuum. Power vacuum. You need to mention about the rise of East India Company. East India Company. So this is what you need to mention. Then whenever you will provide the body portion for this question, body, you need to mention about the second battle of Panipat. Second battle of Panipat, as well as before this, the first battle of Panipat. And what were their co-sequences? The first battle of Panipat was fought between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi in 1526. It was fought in 1526. 1526. And second battle of Panipat was fought in 1556. 1556. So now what first battle of Panipat did? It was fought between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi was maintaining a much larger army than Babur's army, but Babur's army was modernized. They used the artillery. They used the artillery, uh, 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 a technique which is known as the Tulagma technique. Tulagma technique means an artillery gun. A heavy artillery gun is mounted between two wheels, and this technology he adopted from Uzbeks, right? Uzbeks were the rulers, and they were continuously defeating Babur. And Babur was, on the other hand, Babur was facing continuous defeat from Shaibani Khan, and that was the reason he had to move towards India. And his luck worked. His luck worked. His destiny worked. He had to face the first battle of Panipat, and in this first battle of Panipat, he defeated a much larger army of Afghans. Even Sultan of Delhi, Ibrahim Lodi, was killed in action. The only Sultan of Delhi Sultanate who was killed in the battle was Ibrahim Lodi. Okay. Now, what led the consequences after this first battle of Panipat? It laid the foundation of Mughal rule in India. It laid the foundation of Mughal rule in India, and Mughal rule, ruled for almost from 1526 to, you can say, if you count the timeline, for almost 300 years. They ruled the country in an influential manner for almost 300 years. And now the second battle of Panipat, which was fought between the Afghans and Mughals. Mughals were led by Akbar and Afghans were led by Adil Ali Shah and his commander Hemu. So this battle was between, most importantly, between Akbar and Hemu. Akbar and Hemu, right? And here the first battle was fought between Babar and Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi. And who won this battle? Both sides, Mughals won. They emerged victorious. So, what second battle of Panipat did? It ended the Afghan rule from India. It ended the Afghan rule from India. Right? It ended the end of Sultani era. Right? Both these, events turned out as a turning point of Indian history. Why? Because all these battles were fought in the plain of or in the ground of Panipat, Panipat. Now, now think about Panipat. Why Panipat? Because this is a normal and a very strange question of medieval Indian history. Why Panipat? Let us see the location of Panipat. It is in Haryana. It is in Haryana. And if you see, if this is Panipat, if this is Panipat, if this is Panipat, here you will see river Yamuna. River Yamuna. Here you will see Uttar Pradesh, right? Here you will see UP. Now Panipat is very nearby Karnal. Here is Karnal. Here you will find Jind, right? And nearby these areas, in this proximity, you will find Delhi. You will find Delhi. And Delhi used to be the seat of kings. Which means if you are controlling the ground of Panipat, if you are able to control the ground of Panipat, if you are emerged victorious in Panipat, that means you have direct control over Delhi, which used to be the seat of rulers during the medieval history, right? So Panipat was important because of its strategic location. Now again you will see river Yamuna, which is joining river Ganga, right? So this is, the area of Ganga and Jamna, which is a fertile land, which means if you are controlling Panipat, you are able to controlling the resources of Ganga Jamna area, which is known as the Doab, You will have access to the agricultural resources, you will have access to the rich mineral resources of this area. Your soldiers can be easily accommodated as far as their food amenities are concerned. And this area, the area of Panipat, the topology of Panipat is vast, is big, right? And this is the reason why you can accommodate a lot of soldiers. It's an open ground. Horses can move easily. Your artillery can be mobilized very easily. Your foot soldiers can go rapidly, right? So the topology of this area was very, very supportive for decisive battles, right? It was not possible in the hilly terrain or in the desert area, right? So this was the topology of Panipat. Now, one by one, we will see the points and we will discuss, right, how Panipat was so important. That all three battles, the first battle of Panipat, the second battle of Panipat, and the third battle of Panipat fought in this area, and they completely changed the course of history each and every time. Clear? So now you have seen the topology as well as Panipat was an area. Panipat was an area from where the GT road, the ancient Uttarapath, the GT road, which was constructed by Sher Shah Suri, was passing, and this road was connecting Indian subcontinent to Central Asia, which means while your army is sitting in Panipat, it can control the GT road, which means you have direct access to the Central Asia. So let us see one by one. Let us see one by one what are the points, what are the major points. First of all, in introduction, you will write the Third Battle of Panipat, 14th January 1761, was fought in the backdrop of disintegrated Mughal Empire, because that time Mughal Empire was shaking like anything. Even Peshwa Bajirao first attacked Delhi during the reign of Muhammad Shah Rangila, right? After 21 years, they were even weaker. Even in 1741 or in 1739, Nadir Shah invaded in this country, and he plundered Delhi like anything. He massacred Delhi. So after 21 years, the condition of this Mughal Empire was even worse. And now this gave rise to the power game between Ahmad Shah Abdali and Marathas, which were led by Peshwa Bajirao II or Balaji Vishwanath and Sadashiv Rao and Vishwas Rao. So, even though Marathas were defeated by Ahmad Shah Abdali, but both sides suffered heavy losses in terms of men and material. It also contributed to the decline of Maratha Empire and the rise of English East India Company, as I explained to you earlier. Why? Because there was a power vacuum. Now, Marathas remained as a consistent, strong power in the central India. They lost their control from northern India because they suffered heavy casualties. Now, in body, as I mentioned you earlier, first of all, you will have to mention about the first battle of Panipat and the second battle of Panipat. Then you can justify the importance of the ground of Panipat, right? Without giving any kind of example, you cannot justify the importance of Panipat, right? The first example is the first battle of Panipat. It was fought in 1526 between Ibrahim Lodi and Babur's forces, defeated a much larger Afghan army because he used the modern technology. He used the Tilakma style, right? Heavy artillery mounted between two wheels, right? And yes, this Tilakma Paddhati was introduced by Babur only in India, not in the world. It was introduced by the Uzbeks, right? What I'm gonna try to make you understand, whenever you will study the early modern history, artillery will play a major role. Nadir Shah of Iran defeated the Mughal Empire on the base of his artillery because his artilleries were lighter and much more mobile. And Mughal artillery that time was obsolete and heavy. That was the reason of Mughal defeat. Mughals who came in India on the basis of artillery power lost their ring because of their obsolete artillery, right? So you need to learn how to justify. It not only led to the end of Lodi rule, but also the foundation of the Mughal dynasty, which means the last Sultan of Delhi, Ibrahim Lodi, killed in action. The only Sultan of Delhi Sultanate who was killed in battle. And now it gave rise to the foundation of Mughal Empire. And Babur became the first Mughal Empire. He abolished the title of Sultan and assumed the title of Basha. Now, the second battle of Panipat was fought on 5th of November. By the way, there is no need to mention about the date. You can mention about the year, but more if you are willing to mention more precise points, that it was fought on 21st of April 1526. 21st of April 1526. Now, fought on 5th of November 1556 between the forces of Akbar and Hem Chandra, which is popularly known as Hemu, popularly known as Hemu. It marked the end of Hemu's dominance in the North India as well as end of Sur dynasty. It was paved way for emergence of Mughal Empire. Now it was the consolidation of Mughal Empire. Right after the Battle of Panipat, Battle of Khanwa happened between Rana Sanga and Babur again won. Babur again won. The Battle of Khanwa and the second Battle of Panipat, it is said by historians that by chance the Mughal rulers won this battle. By chance they won. Destiny favored them. Right? Sometimes it is required to have a bit support of luck if you are going for the weapon, if you are going for the war. So now this paved the consolidation of the Mughal Empire. Now you will see after 1556, direct in 1761, the third battle of Panipat occurred. Why? Because from 1556 to 1761, Mughal Empire was strong enough to resist the invaders. They had a very strong hold on their area. Now, third battle of Panipat, as I mentioned you, it created a power vacuum. Now look at the look at this map. Look at this map. This is Panipat. This is Panipat. Now it's a district in Haryana, and this is River Yamuna, and this is creating a natural boundary between UP and Haryana. Now here you are having Karnal, and here you have Jind. This is Sonipat, and around this proximity you will have New Delhi. So Delhi is the seat of and Delhi is the seat of most of the medieval rulers. So if you are able to control this area, you are controlling Delhi. You are controlling Delhi because this area is much larger. You can accommodate a larger army. You can set up the camps in a conventional manner. You can move your artillery. You can move your cavalry in a swift manner. You can move your foot soldiers very well, right? So this area accommodated, a lot of things. So now Panipat is located in Haryana on the banks of River Yamuna. The city or district has a strategic location in northern plains on the Grand Trunk Road. As I mentioned you earlier, the Grand Trunk Road, which was constructed by Sher Shah Suri, anciently it was known as the Uttarapath, which was connecting Indian subcontinent with the Central Asia, Now, an ancient trade route that connects the Indian subcontinent with Central Asia. Now, if you are able to, Arun Taylor, hello. You can ask Arun if you have any doubts in this session. You can ask anything, right? So now you are controlling this area, which means not only you are controlling Delhi, but also you have access to the trade route. If now it is relevant even in the present geopolitics. If you are able to control the trade route, that means you are able to control the economy. That means you are a power. You are a big power. Now you are able to control this Grand Trunk Road. Let us see this Grand Trunk Road. Kabul to Kolkata, modern day Kolkata. So Panipat is somewhere here, right? Panipat is somewhere here, right? So you are able to control this road. You can choke this point. You can block this road. You have a larger army, right? And you are able to control Delhi also. So nobody is gonna come from Delhi to fight with you if you are able to, if you are going to block this road, because you have already defeated Delhi. You are already defeated Delhi, right? Which means dono haathon mein laddu. Which means dono haathon mein laddu. Okay. So this road has been a primary route for not only for migrations and trade, but also for invasions. The towns like Panipat and Karnal located on this route played a crucial role in the movement of goods, people and armies. Now, control over Panipat meant easy access to rich resources through the corridors connecting the India's northern breadbasket region. The northern breadbasket region is Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. If you are able to control the Panipat, that means you are able to control the resources associated with it. You are able to control the resources associated with it, right? So, this was all about this Grand Trunk Road. Next is Panipat is located between the fertile Indus and Ganga plains. It was a tempting prize for enemies to seeking to capture the wealthy northern Indian heartland. As I mentioned earlier, that Ganga Yamuna Doab, the plain of Indus, is a heavily fertile region. It is rich in agriculture, it is rich in crops, it is rich in mineral resources. If you are able to control Panipat, that means you are able to control all the resources. There are a lot of perks if you win the battle of Panipat, because in reward you will get these natural resources, and controlling these natural resources, which means your economy is getting stronger and stronger day by day, and you are, first of all, you are a military power, that's why you won the battle, and now you are a economic power also. You are an economic power also. So now control over Panipat meant easy access to rich resources through the corridors connecting the India's northern breadbasket, as I mentioned you many times. Next is the topology of Panipat made it ideal place for large scale battles as it had wide and open area which allowed the armies to fight. It was a wide and open area, right? Wide and open area. Geographically, it is bigger area. The camps could be established conventionally, cavalry could move easily, and the artillery could also be used effectively in an open area. As I mentioned you earlier, because you can accommodate a large number of artilleries, a large number of cavalries, you can mobilize them very easily, because it's a plain area, as well as it's a wider area. It's a wider area. Now the camps, okay, this point. Panipat, being rich in agriculture and water resources, ensured easy availability of food, water, and other supplies for the troops. Because this was very near to River Yamuna, very river to near Yamuna. It was between the fertile plains of Indus and Ganga, and their tributaries already, right? So all the resources are available for the soldiers, for the troops. So what went wrong with Marathas? What went wrong with Marathas? Didn't they get enough food? Marathas were trying to capture Atak, right? And for that purpose, they need to understand the concept of, uh, before fighting with the enemy, know his weakness and strong points. Especially have some knowledge about the terrain in which you are going to fight. Have some knowledge of terrain in which you are going to fight. So what kind of knowledge is required? The acclimatization, the number of troops that can be accommodated, availability of resources, the ration, the water. They had a lot of ration from Bharatpur on the mercy of Maharaja Surajmal, who was a Jat Raja. So now what went wrong with Marathas? They were in hurry. They were in hurry. They were continuously walking. Their horses became weak. And when the ration became exhausted, not only they were with their army, but the ladies and the kids were also there. Ladies and kids were also there. So they became defocused as the war started. And especially the Maratha soldiers who were very sick and they were hungry, they pressurized Sadashiv Rao to start the battle. And in hassle, he had to start the battle. Let me give you some visuals. Ibrahim Khan Gardi was the chief of artillery in the Maratha army. He fired the first round, and Maratha soldiers were very relaxed. They were assuming that no attack will be happen in the morning, because most of the wars are fought in the dark night. Now, the first fire, the first shot of artillery misfires, and now Marathas, they charge towards the camps of Afghans, and the first half of the battle was a havoc on Afghan army. But somehow they had the better artillery, they had the better leadership skills of Ahmad Shah Abdali. They won the battle. They won the battle. And after all, Maratha soldiers were very sick. Uh, they were very hungry uh, since a lot of days, right? So they had to start the war. So this happened in, so not only they were unaware of the terrain, the availability of the resources, right? As well as they were maintaining a large camp of women, children, and the pilgrims, right? Because they had believed that Marathas has the strongest army. Yes, they were strongest, but they were not aware about the severity of war, the consequences of the war, right? So it created a heavy casualties from both Marathas and Afghan sides. Almost 1.2 lakh people killed within 6 to 8 hours, right? And it was the greatest military debacle of the modern Indian history. So at the end of the day, what you will write in conclusion, each of the three battles fought at Panipat had a unique purpose and importance, and these conflicts shaped a political landscape of the country. The first battle of Panipat, rise of Mughals, end of Sultani era. The second battle of Panipat, consolidation of Mughal empire, rise of Akbar, end of Afghan rule. Afghans tried a lot to defeat the Mughals. They tried a lot to defeat Mughals, but eventually they failed consistently. Now, all the above, the third battle of Panipat, it gave rise to the East India Company. The war of succession started within the Maratha Empire, and British, they were very smart people. They used this opportunity and break the Maratha Empire into the five major families after the Anglo-Maratha War. The Gaikwads of Baroda, the Bhosle of Nagpur, the Holkars of Indore, the Peshwas of Pune, right? So it was it they this conclusion justifying all the points that we have mentioned, because each and every battle was fought with a different purpose. The purpose was very different, but they always changed the political landscape of this subcontinent, which is known as the Indian subcontinent, right? So now all the above mentioned factors collectively made Panipat an ideal site for many prominent battles in the history of India. These battles defined the balance of power in the region, affecting the rise and fall of various empires. Sultans and Sultani era ended, Mughal era began. Mughal era ended, Marathas came to the power. Marathas became weaker, rise of East India Company started. Right, so this was all about today's session. I hope you like this session. If you have any doubts, you can ask, and for personal guidance, you can join our Ignite Foundation batch of 2026. You can subscribe the Job Grade IS YouTube channel. You can download the Job Grade IS app. You can follow us on Telegram, and be consistent with these free Mains Enrichment Program sessions, right? We are discussing the PYQs. This is a very important PYQ, though such questions are not asked in the present pattern of the examination, but I have taken up this question for sake of your knowledge, so that knowledge can be enriched for the civil services examination. Most of the question are asking in this examination from art and culture and from the modern Indian history, especially the art and culture. As I promised you, I will start a different thing, a different concept regarding the art and culture, right? I think more than 45 days are remaining for your examination. We will start it very soon, and we'll continue this series till your mains examination. So prepare well for the mains examination, write the answers in a right direction, and if you have any doubts, you can contact to the team, you can contact us, and you can fully enroll yourself. Thank you so much.